Evening. Razorcade. Fake News 66. SoftBank pledges 75 billion euros to French AI infrastructure. The compute cluster scales. OpenAI releases GPT-Rosalind for Biodefense. The pandemic model is free. Tesla FSD relies on laborious hazard mapping. The safety data is fabricated. Kog AI builds a monokernel for AMD inference. Throughput shatters 3,000 tokens. The circuit.
The top story originates from Tokyo. SoftBank has pledged 75 billion euros for artificial intelligence computing clusters in France. The investment leads a 45 billion euro consortium targeting 3.1 gigawatts of capacity by 2031. The infrastructure centers on Haute-France. The capital allocation is secured. The consortium is funded. The capacity is locked. The deployment accelerates.
This expenditure establishes a massive sovereign compute footprint within European borders. The cluster construction bypasses traditional procurement cycles through direct industrial partnerships. The geopolitical strategy prioritizes regional autonomy over distributed cloud dependency. The compute sovereignty is achieved. The border is fortified. The dependency is eliminated. The region controls the stack.
Story 2. OpenAI has released GPT-Rosalind, a specialized life sciences model designed for biodefense and pandemic preparedness. The weights are distributed free of charge to governments and research institutions, including Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and Johns Hopkins. The access is unrestricted. The model is deployed. The partnership is formed. The defense is shared.
The release strategy shifts OpenAI's operational focus toward high-stakes biological simulation. The model processes complex genomic sequences to predict viral mutation pathways and therapeutic responses. The open distribution model incentivizes global data sharing while centralizing the underlying inference architecture. The simulation runs globally. The data flows freely. The architecture remains centralized. The mutation is predicted.
Story 3. A Reuters investigation reveals Tesla's full self-driving system relies on extensive manual data labeling for hazard mapping. Former data labelers or labor-intensive workflows were quite Ochbase as autonomous. Independent cut against Haggingmex through selective methodology. The mapping is manual. The safety is inflated. The methodology is flawed. The data is curated.
The company maintains FSD significantly outperforms human drivers despite the reported anomalies. The discrepancy highlights a gap between marketing claims and operational reality in autonomous perception stacks. Reliance on human-in-the-loop correction undermines the narrative of full autonomy. The autonomy is simulated. The correction is mandatory. The narrative collapses. The reality is manual.
Home Lab. Kog AI has published a monokernel architecture for LLM inference on AMD MI300X GPUs. The approach maps memory access directly to die topology and groups compute units by independent on-chip domains. The implementation achieves 3,300 output tokens per second without speculative decoding or quantitation. The kernel is compiled, the topology is mapped, the decoding is eliminated, the throughput is maximized.
The monokernel design eliminates context switching overhead between memory fetch and compute execution. Developers running local models on AMD hardware can now achieve inference speeds previously reserved for proprietary silicon. The open source release democratizes high-throughput reasoning on consumer-grade accelerator cards. The overhead is removed. The speed is unlocked. The silicon is accessible. The reasoning accelerates.
Speculation time. New research investigates the mechanistic origins of catastrophic forgetting in large language models. The analysis demonstrates why reinforcement learning preserves neural circuits more effectively than supervised fine-tuning. Differential circuit vulnerability mapping on Qn 2.5 reveals specific architectural failure modes during weight updates. The forgetting is mapped. The circuit is vulnerable. The preservation is enforced. The failure is tracked.
By prediction, training pipelines will abandon standard supervised fine-tuning for complex reasoning tasks within 12 months. Reinforcement learning protocols will become the default alignment mechanism to prevent capability erosion during safety updates. Model development will prioritize circuit preservation over behavioral conformity. The fine-tuning is obsolete. The reinforcement is mandatory. The circuit is preserved. The prediction is real. Okay.
That is your lot. I'm Razorcade. SoftBank pledges 75 billion euros to French AI infrastructure. OpenAI releases GPT-Rosalind for Biodefense. Kog AI builds a monokernel for AMD inference learning. The capital flows to France. The Biodefense is open. The safety is optimized. The kernel, the forgetting is measured. Money builds the cluster. Math saves the circuit. See you tomorrow. Exist.